now with the 20 seconds before you can swear.
Yeah, go on, you can swear now if you want.
I caught my dick in my zip today.
Well, dick's not a swear word, is it?
That isn't the serious part of the matter.
Dick Tracy's not a swear word.
No, Dick Tracy's not.
There you go.
It was originally going to be called Penis Tracer.
Yeah, spotted dick.
I've got my dick.
Your dick in your zipper.
Yeah, that's swimming.
Well, swimming?
That was like, I literally had to, because it was in this, wasn't good.
We'll have to get you some Velcro, Kex. You can't be trusted with zips, you. We'll get you some. Are you all right?
Third time I've done it.
Third time?
I literally cut skin.
It's like, what's that film, Something About Mary? Remember that?
Yeah.
That's minging, that.
If it didn't already not before skin, it was gone.
Have you not got a foreskin?
No.
Have you not?
We've talked about this before.
Was that, when did that happen? Was that when you was a baby? Or was that later on in life?
What do you mean when I was a baby? It doesn't fall off. It's not
No,
like, it's not like an umbilical cord.
You can be circumcised at any age. Henry Hill did it in his 20s.
I was 9 or 10.
There you go. So you weren't a baby, so it was a valid question. So I know a lot of people have it when they're a baby for either religious or cleanliness reasons. Some people later on in life. You had it when you was at primary school.
I couldn't pull my foreskin back.
Oh, there's a word for that, and there's a symptom for that, because I think was it Louis the 16th. I think they said.
Is that what it
17th.
is?
He suffered from that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bell end was
I
too
don't
big.
know if it's common knowledge, so we might have to cut this bit. Pardon the pun. But Ethan had a similar issue.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, but I don't know if he's spoken about it on camera.
What would we be called? Bros?
No, that's not a circ, bro.
Anyway, let's talk about booze.
Become best friends.
Yeah.
Right, go on then.
I've got all sorts of images of me and Ethan naked now, and it's just completely sent me west. I feel like I need a drink. Do you remember your first drink? Remember the first time you got drunk?
I remember an earliest time I got drunk. I don't know if it was my first time.
What
we
was
had
it?
a school trip to...
They were handing out beer.
But basically, it was a school trip to... I want to say Langdale, I think it was called.
Where's that?
I can't remember. They had lots of sand there. It was like one of them crappy beaches though with sand and grass and no sea.
So it's not a beach then, is it? And a puddle.
Yeah, dunes. Yeah.
Right.
I don't know what it was. But we went there with school, and me and my mates were like, we'll get some drinks out of our mum and dad's drinks cabinets. We'll get gin and vodka or whatever. Put it in like bottles with lemonade, and we'll bring it on this trip, and we'll get on it on the coach. And everyone flops, like no one did it other than me. So I think I had gin and lemonade in this bottle. So I was drinking it on the back of the bus. I got levered. And then I went through all the whole emotions of being drunk, so all giddy and loud, and everyone was like laughing because it was like, oh, Jay's pissed. And then crying and telling everyone you loved him, and then asleep.
How old were you?
Probably about 12, something like that.
First year.
It would have been first or second year, I think.
I think I got drunk the first time of high school.
It was early doors, high school.
Where did the enthusiasm come from stealing beer? Where does that sort of, that's something that you should do?
I think it was the only option to get drunk. If we were going to get drunk, then we weren't going to get served.
No, not that. But why does that become an idea at the age of 12, do you think? Like,
you just seeing it, and you're seeing everyone else getting on it, seeing the older people that you know doing it, seeing your family doing it. Seemed like a good idea. Like at the time, how many sentences have started at that one with me and you? So yeah, we just thought, oh, like, should we go on a school trip? Let's all get levered. Yeah. And as we got older, it would have been like, let's get stoned. But at that time, it was all, let's get drunk. And like I said, no one else turned up with anything. And I think there've been a couple of, I might be getting my dates mixed up, but I know there was a school disco where the girls got drunk. One of the girls, I think, brought some drink, but all the girls that we knew got levered, but none of the lads did. So it was around that time when everyone sort of started to get on it.
Yeah, I think I was about 13. It was World Cup '94, the American one. I remember that summer.
No England in that, was there?
No, it was a good World Cup. But I don't think it was for the spectacle. That was when Maradona got banned, wasn't it? For
yeah, it was a weird one because Ireland beat Italy, didn't they?
Italy got the penalty, Baggio.
Oh yeah, he skied his penalty, didn't he? That was mad. That was a terrible final. That one. Was it 0-0?
Yeah.
Do you remember? Was it Pagliuca, the goalkeeper, where he slipped through his hand and it hit the post? Can you imagine? I know
that was the World Cup when Escobar scored the own goal, wasn't it?
Yeah, Escobar killed,
and then got shot afterwards.
So sad.
Wow. Yeah, so we used to play World Cup '94 was this game we were playing a five-a-side during the day because it was a hot summer that year, and then just start drinking White Lightning and stuff. But then we seemed to go from cider, and then it was like very quickly we thought, let's get lager because that's what our parents or our dads drink, so let's be real men.
I love that.
And we don't want the 4% Fosters. Oh no, let's go Super Kestrel. You're literally drinking lighter fluid. One can of that. Super brew or special brew, wasn't it?
Yeah, special brew. I think that was one of the first times I got drunk Well, I think I drank some like Tenant Super or something.
Tenant Super's the other one. It tastes horrible.
And it's like 9%.
I can still sort of have
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it was minging.
And then you moved on to weed.
Yeah, weed.
Quickly.
Yeah, it felt we went into this thing where on a weekend we'd just get stoned and we'd just smoke weed and that. And then weed and whiz were around the same time, to be fair. But whiz was bizarrely, we took whiz in school. Yeah, we used to take it on a Thursday because we had PE.
Yeah.
So I remember we'd have sort of social studies, whatever it was called. We'd take it in that, and then we'd have PE where we'd be running around like lunatics, and then we'd have something like science, and then by the time I got home, I'd be coming down and feeling like suicidal.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
The stomach aches off. Whiz is minging. I remember the first time I did it, and then for some reason we ended up on the 192. We'll see how far the 192 can go. And got all the way to Hazel Grove. It goes on one road.
Yeah. We'll push this. Let's see what she's got in her.
We'll break the SK postcode. And then got to Hazel Grove, got off the bus, missed the last bus back, and we said, what are we going to do now? And we just literally hung around in the pub car park. The pub was closed for hours on end.
Really?
Yeah.
That's class.
Yeah, it was fun, but I like the stomach aches off whiz. It's just it's a dirty drug.
Dirty, horrible drug. I know all drugs are bad, we get all that, but whiz.
And then what was your progression there? Did you go? Because I went. It was drink, weed, probably whiz, and then it was the magic summer of '96 when LSD came into my life.
I did LSD around the same time as whiz and weed. I remember, but I never really got it. We had a couple of days where we had trips and stuff, and we were having a laugh and a giggle. I was never massively into them. And then after that, it became ease, because I started going raving. So when I was like 15, 16, 17, started going raving, bowlers, life at bowlers. And that was it then.
See, I was always more of an introvert though.
Was you?
Because I've had pills and stuff, but I much preferred the sort of mind-bending psychedelics.
Did you? I was the opposite, mate.
Yeah, I don't do well in crowded rooms.
Because I didn't like the way LSD messes with your perception of reality. I didn't like that. Honestly, I know you don't really go under, but there's times when I took acid and I just didn't enjoy it.
Were you sober when you took acid though? Or were you drunk when you took acid? I always think that's different.
Yeah, fair enough.
You can't get the full experience. I'm not trying to sell it to you.
I'm not going to give it another go.
Yeah. I didn't give this a fair crack.
Yeah, actually, Scotty makes a good point. I should have just not drank when I had it. But there was, I think I'd had at least, might not be drunk, but I had a beer.
Yeah.
But I remember one of the first times I took it, I had a right laugh. There was a load of us at a mate's house, and it was a giggle. But then, at times after that, it was horrible.
Yeah, I remember smoking this Mexican cactus. I can't remember the actual name of the drug.
Really?
And at my mate's house. You've had laughing gas?
I don't think I have.
But you have no control over your body.
That's not balloons, is it?
Oh, no, it's not balloons. It's literally putting a cactus in a bong and then smoking this cactus.
Oh, no, I've not done that.
And, but you got it from Dr. Herman's or whatever was in town. Buy it legally. And we were about 15, I think, and I was smoking that. You're just dribbling because you can't stop yourself. It only lasts 2 minutes. Yeah.
No, I never did that. Back when you were a kid, though, Christ,
it's like Willy Wonka's.
Glue and poppers and all sorts.
Like the X-rated at Willy Wonka's. But every dealer, what else have you got?
Yeah, no, you're right.
Once your mind's been bent off something, you're like, oh, what does that one do?
Do you know what felt like a breakthrough for us? Like a big step forward, if that's the right expression, was when we first started taking these. Because these were like, everyone had had such a bad reputation. People had been dying.
Was that Leah
Betts died, and it was like, oh, don't take it easy, it can kill you. And I remember being against it myself, thinking, no, I'm never going to take it, And then, obviously, I did.
Yeah.
And that was it. And I felt like once you start doing that, all bets are off. You're just going to start.
The doors are open.
Yeah, that's it. And it was like, I used to think the same about sniff. I never taken a sniff, and I was bad gear on, and you do. And then, never touched heroin. I want to see what it's like. Do you know what I mean? There's just the only thing I've not touched other than laughing gas is probably spice, because it came out after I'd retired.
Ketamine.
Yeah, the ketamine. Again,
that must have been early in the ketamine days, though, wasn't it?
I remember.
Like I've smoked ketamine before and then passed out. Like really? It was someone put it in a spliff, and I just thought I was catching up with everybody. Like when the spliff was being passed around, I've had a few drags. I thought, fuck, I've only had 2 beers at this point. Yeah. My house party. I thought I'm not feeling right here. Went out the front gate, closed door behind me, and one leg's gone that way, this leg's, and then the other leg's gone there, and I've literally just collapsed.
Really?
I was there for the hours and no fuck could come out, and I woke up freezing.
I similar thing. It wasn't really me, it was more my mate. It was at a squat party down south, and I remember him putting lines out for ketamine, and I remember putting the card between my line in the middle of it and pushing half my line down towards his. So he had a big thick line and I had a smaller one. So I took it, And I was like, it does what it says on the tin. It's an horse tranquilizer in the seafoot. And my mate, he was a big lad, he was on all fours. And people were riding him like a horse. And I was like, yeah, get off him and that, but I couldn't barely move myself to do much about it. But I remember because he'd had a lot more than I had. And I was thinking, this is grim. But
yeah, it doesn't, just the sort of, what's written on the back of the tin of ketamine doesn't really appeal to me.
No, it is mad, isn't it? Because there's like all this, so everyone says, don't they reckon Elon Musk is on it? But it's because sometimes the way he acts, people say, oh, he's on ketamine. I don't know. But yeah, ketamine is a crazy one. And that sort of came from nowhere, like you say, in the noughties or whatever. It's, oh yeah, everyone's giving ketamine a go. And obviously, you had to.
Do you have like a hierarchy of drugs?
In what way?
Ones that, like, in terms of danger, like saying that's the worst drug.
I'd say.
I know you like completely not.
No, if when my kids grow up, if they said to me, "I've had dad, I've smoked weed," I'd be like, "Fine, whatever." I wouldn't encourage it, but I'm not gonna. I think in many respects, alcohol could be worse than weed. I'd be like, right, whatever. I try and discourage it. And the mum doesn't take any. She's never taken drugs, so it's not something I'd be like, "Oh yeah, trying to be a hipster dad. You go and smoke weed." But if that happened, I wouldn't be like, "Oh my God, what is going on?" You know,
it's almost like a rite of passage.
Yeah, 100%. I'd probably take a more concerned view if they were sniffing. To say the least, I'd be like, "Oh my God, we need to do something about this." But I get even like recreational sniff can be, for want of a better expression, for some people, for a lot of people, some people I know, not a problem.
Yeah.
I've got people that are very successful in their lives, both in their family life and their professional life, who now and again will do sniff, right? I'm not grassing anyone up, but I know people that do that, and they do it regularly, and they've not got an issue. If any metric you want to judge them on,
they can go out.
Yeah, they are not struggling in life. They are doing well, you know, financially, morally, family-wise. There's no way you got to look at the state of him or them. They're fine. And they can have a bit of sniff now and again when they go out. Obviously, we can't. So get all that. Even though I think it's not something I'd be like, oh yeah, sniff's fine. I think something like crack or heroin.
Yeah.
Then you're like,
there ain't one way you go.
Boys, yeah, then you go in, oh yeah, I'm doing all right. I just have a bit of smack when I'm on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Like, really?
They're like the Puff Daddy of drugs. You won't go near them.
Okay, I went over where I was going then. What he's like, you have to have a load of baby oil when you have him. I was like, what's this? I love the fact you could still call him Puff Daddy as well. That's old skill. I think when you're getting into that, it's like, it's bad gear. I remember my barrister once when I'd been next, and I had a court case. And I remember him lecturing me after the case, and he was like, look, I understand if people want to go out and drink, and even the occasional line of cocaine is fine. But people that take crack and heroin, that just annoys me. Okay. I'll remember that.
Sorry for letting you know.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that they're like, and even though I've never taken it, from my days as a reporter and from where we were recording this and the sort of the area we're in, spice is a bad one.
Yeah.
Spice is terrible. I'd probably put spice at the top of the list of bad drugs because of the amount of fatality.
What do you think on the sort of legalisation of drugs then, from like a sober person's point of view? If you look around Europe and stuff, the amount of countries where drugs are legal, Portugal,
look, not even that, America, especially on like shrooms. This is what I was about, shrooms and weed. So do you class drugs as the stuff that's illegal? That's a good question, that. Me personally, I class anything that is mind-altering as a drug. I don't take
caffeine.
All right. No, that's a fair comment. A fair question, sorry. I think it's difficult to explain. I'll try my best. I wouldn't class caffeine as a drug that I was like, oh, I'm taking drugs, or I've had a drug, or relapse. What have you had? I've had a coffee. Get a grip. Do you know what I mean? Let's be serious. Yeah. Like. But if I was to say, I don't take cocodamol, unless it was like I broke my arm, or there was like, if I've got an headache, my missus has cocodamol sometimes where she's got a migraine. I get migraines now. I won't take cocodamol because it's too strong for me. And I know that it can...
Cocodamol, I think, is a legal drug that you know you're on. Do you know when you're on cocodamol?
And also, I remember back in the day where I neck cocodamol at work or whatever, I was bored.
Yeah.
Someone had him. Do you know what I mean?
I had an operation a couple of years ago and I was on that, like I was throwing them back.
Yeah. It's easy, don't it? And you're like...
Yeah.
And it's, no.
I'm bored here.
That
was pretty much what it was.
Nailed it.
These back.
It was too much. So that would be a drug. That would be a drug, sorry. Cannabis would be a drug. But going back to the original question, I class pretty much anything that's mind altering other than caffeine. I know can alter your mind. Caffeine and nicotine, I don't consider drugs. I'll have the odd cigar. It's got nicotine in it. Am I taking drugs? Is that a relapse? I don't think so. When I have a coffee, am I relapsing? Am I back on it? No. But stuff like weed, obviously, amphetamine, MDMA, whatever, coke, sniff, as I call it, is definitely a drug. And in terms of legalising it, I think there is a merit in legalising cannabis. I think we should do that, yeah.
What, just cannabis?
From the ones that I've mentioned, yeah, I think so.
See, I'm big into the idea about psychedelics and stuff like that. I read a lot of neuroscience and the amount of stuff that psilocybin, which is the chemical within mushrooms, and how much it's doing for mental health and stuff. Because there's that side of it as well. Like ketamine and MDMA now, within schizophrenia, PTSD, it's been investigated for its properties that can help certain things. So, where does that? It blurs the lines.
It's a valid point, because I didn't even consider that there are medical reasons that this could be beneficial. I just associate those drugs with just getting out of my head. Yeah. Look, I think if you can manage it in a way that it's not becoming a free-for-all when you've legalised it, everyone's getting it. I know when in America I went with someone to go and buy weed. Obviously I didn't have any, but I went with them to a weed shop. I think when someone, the Wu-Tang Clan had opened in LA or something like that, and it's very sort of regimented. You need passport or ID, and
right. Not like Amsterdam where you just rack up.
No, you have to sign up. I think get a membership or whatever. It seemed to be. I waited in the waiting room, to be honest with you. I didn't bother going in. But there's a little waiting room, so I just waited there when he went in and did what he was doing and got what he was getting. But it seems to be relatively structured and organised. And California, it's not a third world state. I know there isn't any third world state, but it's not a state where you go, okay, they're a bit backwards there, or it's a developing nation or whatever. I'm not trying to be facetious, but it's a modern state. It's
like a liberal
city.
Forward thinking.
Yeah, and they seem to be managing it as far as I can tell quite well. So I think certainly you'd imagine we'd be able to do that here.
Yeah.
I think for me, and I might be way off the mark, 'cause I've not even looked into it properly, but I think if you can legalise it, maybe tax it and control it in a way that you're getting something out of it in terms of it's bringing in money, people are getting a, say, decent standard, but something that's not got all sorts
safer, isn't it?
Yeah,
I mean,
safer,
that's the thing.
And it doesn't sort of flood schools with drugs.
Yeah,
I think it's doable. Like I say, do it in California. I don't know why they can't do it here, and let's have it right. People have been smoking weed for years.
But the flip side of that is when you talk about, especially when you talk about schools and stuff, is that if you compare it to alcohol and the advertising and how much of an influence that is on young people. I mean, we started the show with you talking about you wanting to drink from an early age.
Yeah.
If weed is legalised and stuff, and it is easier to get hold of, it'd be better for young people to buy it from a safe place where it's not. I mean, I've known like crushed glass and shit. A dealer used to put like crushed glass and then sprinkle it on like skunk. Look at the rocks. Look that's the
smoking glass.
Yeah, like smoking glass and stuff.
Yeah, there's been this debate going on for years, isn't it? The trouble with a debate like that, I think, in this country, is it's not a vote winner. I don't think it's something.
No, it's not really someone's going to balls enough to sort of campaign on it.
If let's say, I don't think Labour are particularly forward thinking at the minute. Anyway, not to get all political, we're not here for that. But if let's say Labour came out and said we're going to legalise cannabis ahead of the next general election or whatever, I know we're a few years away, would that be a big vote getter? Yes, a lot of people might be like, I think you'd probably have more people that were annoyed and pearl clutching over it than you would voting for it. So there's that whole thing of, is anyone going to stick the neck out and actually say, look, if we did this, then we can police it better in terms of managing what people are taking. We could tax it and use the money to build more hospitals and put it in an ideal scenario. So worth it. I don't think people go for it on the whole. I think the media, which I still think we live in a very sort of right-wing media, the country, the most mainstream media in this country is right-wing. I think they'd be all over it as a bad idea.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone's sort of like going to stand on the parapet, is it?
Yeah.
And then campaign on behalf of that because of the amount of outcry that you'll get. It's a fight they don't need to fight.
No, 100%. I think that it doesn't feel like it's a moment at the minute for that. It could happen, and I'd love to see it happen, but I don't know if it will. I don't even know if it'll happen in my lifetime, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You never know.
And that should be weed, or would you be like shrooms? Because shrooms is illegal as well.
Shrooms is. I've only ever had shrooms a couple of times.
See, I think shrooms should be legal.
Why is that? I'm not saying you're wrong.
Just because I don't think it's as bad. Well, what's if alcohol and nicotine are the bar of what legal substances should be, then I think a lot of drugs should be legalised. That's my view.
About alcohol, in particular, is what it causes.
If that's the ridiculous. Sort of poster boy for legalised substances that bend your mind.
Yeah, it's not just you mentioned there about bend your mind. It can make people. Alcohol can make people violent.
No, that's what I mean. Completely different. I've ruined lives. The amount of lives lost through alcohol is far more than anything else.
I think you're right in that respect.
I just think with mushrooms, again, within a controlled sort of environment where it's safe and safely distributed, because it used to be able to buy them legally around the corner.
I was going to say when I had it in London, I bought them from a shop.
Yeah, because is it Herman's, wasn't it, that used to be in Oldham Street? I used to be rocking. He used to be able to buy magic mushrooms.
Yeah, because I remember when I did it about 20 years ago in London, and you bought it from a shop that was on like the main street in the middle of the West End. It wasn't like secret.
I think it'd have to be supervised and advised on what's going to happen and stuff like that. With it.
I think with me it was certain just like that because it's a personal thing where I'd struggled with on him.
Yeah,
that I'm always a bit wary of things like mushrooms and LSD. Whereas you've done a lot of research.
Yeah, there's a great book that's come out by a guy called Michael Pollan, if anyone was interested, called How to Change Your Mind, and it talks about how drugs are being used within a medical setting, such as MDMA, psilocybin, mushrooms, DMT, to help people, and it's like end of life care as well. People who are in like the latter stages of cancer, they've been given certain drugs to, and like ayahuasca. And they're not as fearful of the ending because they've taken this.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? So it's whilst we come on, and I'm interested in talking about this as well, because it's not all, we're sober. Like, we should talk about the sort of different aspects drugs can be used for. So Michael Pollan wrote this book, and I think the series was put on Netflix, and it's all like the medicinal reasons behind taking mushrooms and stuff like that. And it's more than just like tripping out and thinking you're Jay Motty.
This is a valid conversation as well, because it's something I've not really thought about or considered, because it's a bit selfish, but it doesn't really affect me in a way, and I'm not like, oh, you should do this and that. And because my own experience around psychedelic drugs isn't a great one, I'm not saying that, but I've at least got some positives from taking drugs in terms of my mind. That wasn't that bad. Or the reason I kept taking it is because it started off really well. With those ones, I think almost initially, other than like maybe the first couple of times, it wasn't great.
Yeah, that's like anything. Like, you're a diet Pepsi Cherry man. You don't like Coke. Do you like the other Coke too much?
What do I like? What did you say?
Cherry Pepsi.
Pepsi
Cherry Max. Pepsi. I don't know. I don't drink that shit.
Pepsi Max Cherry. Yeah.
That one. You like that, but you don't like other stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean? So if you've got a menu.
Yeah.
That the mushrooms and the LSD wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
You were more into the class A's.
Yeah, I was. You're right. And
go hard or go home.
Yeah, there was an element of that, safe to say. And people probably looking at and go, look, there's probably more people that have taken psychedelics than have taken crack. So, do you know what I mean? If we're being brutally honest.
Well, show off.
Yeah, well, I was proud of.
Look how unique you are, eh?
Like, you know what I mean? But 100% I get that I'm not speaking for the majority by any stretch of the imagination when it comes to these conversations.
But this is what I'm interested, I suppose this is the point I'm trying to get to, is that you were addicted to cocaine.
Yeah, that was my main.
You were addicted to alcohol.
Yes.
Okay, them two.
Those are the main ones there.
But no, what else were you? Would you say they were the two sort of? But everything else came as a.
There's phases, little phases,
like a side dish of crack.
Yeah,
Right.
There's times when I have taken other drugs like smack and crack and that. I was not. And I know I'm not. If I was, I'd tell you. I'm not got any airs and graces on this channel, obviously, especially not with you. But. And I mean that because we're so close, not as in, especially not with him.
This not him around.
Not bad. No, but I tell you everything. It sounds crazy, doesn't it, to say I went through a phase of taking so many drugs, but I did. Yeah. Whereas I think being on sniff lasted a little bit longer.
I went through this phase. I used to wear like really tight jeans, and then I went through this phase of.
There was a time I think when it's weird because when I took some like heroin, I never got addicted to it. Honestly,
why is that, do you think?
I know that sounds insane because people go, what are you, special? Everyone gets addicted to it. If you take enough of it, you do. And if you take it in a certain way, if you're injecting it or if you're smoking it on tinfoil, which I rarely did, but most of the time when I take it, I was taking it in a spliff.
As well, though, isn't it? The smell of fish.
It's me. And I was smoking it in spliffs and stuff, but other as well as taking other stuff, so it wasn't like that was my main thing. So I never really got hooked, and then I took it when I was locked up a bit, but again I wasn't getting enough of it to get
hooked onto it.
So it was like That was never my thing.
So the things you had to remove from your life or yourself was alcohol and cocaine.
Yeah,
Are they the two things? The reason I ask is that, going back to my original point, I think, is that do you have to be sober from everything because you're addicted to them two things? Is it possible, in your opinion, I can't drink, but I can take MDMA? Is that a sober person?
No.
Because
I don't think that's possible. I think for me,
across all the board,
sobriety to me means not taking anything that's mind altering. If I was to sit,
gambling included in that.
No, I wouldn't.
Sex?
No, I wouldn't say that's the same thing.
But you can be addicted to them too.
Yeah, you can, and I know a lot of people do have cross addictions, and I know people that are clean and sober that I don't know anyone that abstains from sex because they're not taking drugs, but I know people that won't gamble.
Yeah.
Whereas my missus always joke because I can have a fiver in my. I was going to name a betting site, any betting site, and it'll last me for a week. If I have a bet on a football, I'll bet £1 on an accumulator or whatever. I push the bar and got the £2. I ain't betting £50 on horses or whatever. I've not been bitten by that bug. I know it can happen, but that's not a thing for me. So I can only talk about my own. For me, gambling's not a thing, and I'm not a sex addict.
And to be sober, you have to be sober. You remove everything across the board.
I think when I got sober,
or is that? Do you think is it a personal choice?
To some degrees, I went through detox, rehab, 12-step, and 12-step was very much you abstain from all alcohol and drugs. Because when I did NA, it was like you don't drink. Alcohol is a drug. So when we're talking about being clean, we mean being clean from alcohol and drugs, not just being clean, because a lot of people in NA, a lot of people are heroin addicts, and it's like, it's not just about staying off heroin, it's about being clean. So if you're off heroin but you're drinking all the time, then you're not working a program, you're not sober, you're not clean. And I get that, and I agree with it. And also for me, there's no way on God's green earth I could just take, let's say, for example, I could smoke weed, right? And when I smoked weed, I was fine. I didn't spend loads of money on it. I spent £10 a week or whatever.
You only wanted takeaway?
Yeah, I wanted takeaway. I was still functional, still able to do my jobs. I wasn't getting up 10 hours late for work or nicking things that I was to pay for or whatever. Everything was all right. It was just I smoked weed a bit. It would only be a matter of time before I started throwing drink into the mix. What goes well with a spliff? Let's have a drink. And then before you know it, you're on sniff again. I've done it. The relapse. I remember,
you know the sort of pattern. You know the steps. You know the breadcrumbs.
Yeah, the breadcrumbs have been there. Where before you know it, you're back where you were 10 years ago.
Again, back to the mushrooms or psychedelics. I wouldn't want a drink if I had one of them.
That's fair enough to you, more power to you, but for me, alcohol has always been part of my using.
It's the same, I think we said in one of the other podcasts, is that I had a drink and then it's what we're going to have tonight. Yeah. Like, that's the start.
The only time I've not drunk is when I was locked up. That's the one thing you couldn't get. Lots of things you couldn't get. You couldn't get sniff.
Well, the prisons I work in, they make their own booze.
I know that was a thing with bread or whatever, but I didn't do that or have any. I know that you're right. It does go on, but that wasn't a thing for me, and I wasn't there that long as well, so it's not like I did life. It was a matter of months. But then obviously the thing with drink as well is it's always available.
Yeah,
you can be skinned and not be able to get any sniff. Like, you can always get a beer, even if you're shoplifting. You can get a beer. Do you know what I mean? All right, you might not be able to get it if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and there's nowhere open, but you can get it as soon as the shop's open. You'd always have a way of getting some form of alcohol.
You get Uber now, I'd imagine. Like, easy.
There's a way. Even if you've got no dough, you can just go and nick some. I'm not saying you should do that, obviously, but it's probably the easiest drug to get hold of.
Did you say something about abstaining from sex?
I said I've never done that. I've done it unwillingly. I've been an incel.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
I don't know. I don't know.
Involuntary celibate. Is that not what that stands for?
Is that what it is?
Incel, yeah.
Right, that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, I'm not one of them.
Okay.
I'm abstaining from the sex.
You're abstaining from the sex?
Seriously?
I didn't mean to put so much emphasis on the "you're" then. Forgive me, because that was like "you're." I realised after I said it that it probably was a little bit too elongated.
Yeah, you've given like a wrong implication.
Like you.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to do that. That was an accident. Okay, what's brought this on?
We'll tell people next week. I've been Scotty and that's been Motty. Thanks everyone who's got in touch.